So Nintendo Switch 2 has yet another new system update that hit, and it's actually fixing some of the problems that appeared in the 21.00 update. If you were somebody who upgraded to that and you noticed some issues, we have kind of the actual patch notes of what was changed, and I want to explain that all and go over everything in full detail with you. Not a ton under the hood changed, but we do know the 21.00 update was a significant one because it even broke things like third-party docks, and according to Nintendo, that wasn't even intentional on their part. Then we also have some last-minute Black Friday deals that just went live at Walmart that they do have some Switch 2 games at their lowest prices ever, so I want to quickly highlight that. In addition to, we'll have more sale videos on the channel going in more depth during the week. We have the ESRB exact description for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and wouldn't you know it, this sounds like yet another Metroid Prime game that I just can't wait for personally, plus the exact file size of the game. There is also a good backwards compatibility fix for a big title that many have been waiting for to be fixed this whole time that has now gone live as part of the new 21.0.1 update that we're covering today. And finally, Nintendo has this new initiative that we've actually been talking about on the channel here, but it has to do with how they are trying to get additional touch points with consumers around upcoming games, and specifically kiosks that we are seeing them build for this. So we're going to break all of this down right after a quick word from today's video sponsor. If you're looking to get a Switch 2 this holiday season, now is honestly the best time to lock in your case for the console while D-Brand is running their brand new Black Friday sale. The Kill Switch Ultra kits are $45 off right now. It's their premium handheld case built for real daily use, not just to look tough. You get full protection without giving up anything about how you actually use your Switch 2. Joy-Con still detach normally, the case stays slim, and everything just feels natural as it should. The grips are top tier as well. These really add some extra heft. It has texture in all of the right spots, so handheld play actually feels secure in your hands instead of slippery. And when it's time to dock, you're good. The Kill Switch works with your existing setup thanks to the included adapter and keeps full 4K 60 pass-through. But the Black Friday part doesn't stop at the discount. Every single order comes with a free deck of custom D-Brand playing cards, 57 unique designs, all printed on premium black core stock. They spent 11 months making these things for no reason other than to flex, and now they're just giving them away. If you want protection, accessories that don't get in the way, and a pretty cool bonus in the box, the Kill Switch Ultra Kit deal is easily the one to grab. Black Friday pricing and the free cards are live right now, so please help support the brands that support me and check out D-Brand for all your Switch 2 accessory needs using my link in the pinned comment and description down below. Big thank you to D-Brand for sponsoring today's video. And we're going to first kick this off over at Nintendo of America's official patch notes for the Nintendo Switch 2 system update, where 21.0.1 was released, and we can see exactly what was changed here. So first was fixed an issue where error code 2011-0301 or error code 2168-0002 would repeatedly occur on a Nintendo Switch when attempting a system transfer using local communication from a Nintendo Switch system to a Nintendo Switch 2 system. So basically streamlining the transfer process. If you were somebody who was trying to do that before, you were having that issue, that may now be fixed. But the bigger one, and I actually heard about this from some friends of mine that directly were reporting this issue. I didn't have it myself, but I do wonder how widespread it was. And I looked online, and sure enough, people were talking about this. Fix an issue where sometimes after waking up, the system from sleep mode or turning off airplane mode, wireless controllers or Bluetooth audio devices were unable to connect. So this was apparently something that your Pro controller synced up, it woke up the console, but for some reason, you just are not able to actually connect that controller without taking out the Joy-Cons, going back into the controller connection screen and actually setting it up like a new controller syncing for the first time, which would obviously be frustrating. So if you were having weird audio issues with Bluetooth headsets or any kind of controller issues like that, following the latest system firmware upgrade, where apparently that was an unintentional cascade effect of whatever Nintendo changed underneath the hood, that's one of those things that should now be completely taken care of and improved, and hopefully no more issues for the foreseeable future. And of course, the last bullet point, general system stability improvements to enhance the user's experience. We never know really what that means other than Nintendo potentially patching some security flaws, or maybe just making some things in the background that were not quite as seamless, a little bit more seamless, but nothing massive here, nothing like custom themes or, you know, some kind of new trophy system like we've seen rumored for quite some time now. I wonder if Nintendo will implement anything massive on the NSO front or anything on, you know, unlocking trophies at a system level, some kind of achievement or trophy system that's different than the current missions and rewards that we have that really is not that. You know, we're still seeing some games, you know, you play through a game like Silksong, it has its own achievement system in the game, and quite a few games do now, but there's nothing system level from Nintendo. And that's one thing that, as we talk about, you know, big changes for the Switch 2 generation, I would certainly love to see hit at some point. I've given up hope on themes at this point, but that's another rumor to be coming at some point in the future. I'm not holding my breath for it. I thought it would hit at some point during the Switch generation, and it definitely didn't. But there is some additional backwards compatibility fixes, one of which we will mention in a moment, but Nintendo does tend to streamline backwards compatibility with these system updates as well. So if you are somebody who is actually having any kind of issues with some of your Switch 1 library working on the Switch 2, always hop back into those and check them following the system upgrades, because some of them get discovered right away, other ones not as quickly. But one of them, as mentioned, we'll cover in a moment, is finally fixed after having issues since the console's launch. Okay, next up from here, I want to read through Nintendo Deals post that highlights some of the best deals on Switch 2 games for the Black Friday sale that just opened to everyone, because I guess they had some of these for Walmart Plus members where you could get early access, but this is now open to everyone, and they highlight the following games. So Sonic Racing Crossworlds, $30. Now it's the Switch 1 edition, but to my understanding, you can upgrade the Switch 1 edition for, like, I think they had the intro sale being a $5 upgrade path, and then it would ultimately go to $10 for the regular upgrade pack. Still 35 or 40 bucks essentially to own the game physically, but be able to play the Switch 2 edition with the enhanced visuals and stuff. Not a bad price point at all, and we are still seeing a lot of very positive talk around Sonic Racing Crossworlds whenever it comes to just the quality of it being a kart racer. Like, if you like more of that traditional Mario Kart style gameplay, and you didn't really get what you wanted with Mario Kart World, you wanted more of the traditional Grand Prix style of races, but you want a whole different style of, you know, a Sega character roster with many different collaborations, even branching far outside of that. That's a good one to look at, and definitely an exciting one, considering it does have that Switch 2 upgrade pack available. Star Wars Outlaws Ultimate Edition, which is a game key card, but for the Nintendo Switch 2, $30. This game has been patched a few times since it released. It looks visually more beautiful than it even did at launch, and it was already a pretty impressive port to the Nintendo Switch 2. I think that the $30, that really makes a lot of sense for most people to pick up at some point if you don't own it already. It's not the most addicting gameplay loop by any stretch of the imagination, but if you like third-person action-adventure shooter games and you like some stealth elements involved in a big open world, beautiful world at that, to explore, I definitely think that that's one of those that makes a lot of sense for Switch 2 owners' libraries. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S is $15, the lowest I think we've ever seen that game sold. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, nothing to do with the Switch 2 edition on this one, but for $30, if you're just a classic 2D era Donkey Kong Country fan, I think that's a no-brainer personally. It's just a love letter to that style of game with more modern, you know, 3D sprites, but in that 2D setting for the most part. And they do some cool visual effects where you're hopping into the background and then sometimes you're playing in the foreground. Stuff like that is nice. Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, which also needs a Switch 2 update to kick it to 60 FPS. That has not happened yet, but nonetheless, that's a great one to pick up at $30. I mean, I paid full price $60 for it and was very happy with my purchase. I do think that at $30, you should definitely have that in your collection. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom coming in at $30 as well. This is a nice brand new take on a top-down 2D era Zelda game. It definitely takes some elements from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom in terms of how you progress different dungeons and things like that, but you're playing in a completely different form as Zelda, of course, and you're summoning enemies on screen that you come across. Some really cool puzzles, boss battles, and different style things that you just haven't seen in a top-down 2D Zelda game up to this point in time, and that beautiful Link's Awakening art style. $30 is a no-brainer if you don't already own that one. Sonic X Shadow Generations is just $15 right now. It is the Switch 1 version, and unfortunately, Sega, in this case, did not give us any kind of upgrade path to the Switch 2. So if you purchase this one, it's not going to have the 4K visuals and everything that you would get with the Switch 2 version of this game, which you can also find on sale right now as part of the ongoing Black Friday sales. So 15 bucks is kind of stupid cheap for this, and I do think that if you're okay with the lesser visuals and resolution and stuff, because it's not like day and night difference, that's actually a steal to pick it up at that. But just know that you're not going to be able to upgrade that one to take advantage of Switch 2's extra horsepower. Okay, moving on from there, we have Metroid Prime 4 Beyond's ESRB description details a classic sounding Metroid Prime experience. This comes to us from Go Nintendo. I've kind of been saying this as we've looked at more of the trailers, but definitely expect this game to look and play like a Metroid Prime game. But let's read through the exact ESRB description here, where it says Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is rated T for teen by the ESRB with animated blood and violence, also includes in-game purchases. This is a first-person adventure game in which players assume the role of a space bounty hunter who must find a way home. Players explore a planet to uncover its mystery while engaging in combat against alien creatures and space pirates. Players use power beams, missiles, and elemental attacks to battle enemies in frantic combat. Combat is highlighted by blaster effects, frequent explosions, and screen shaking effects. A handful of alien creatures and boss characters emit blue/green blood when shot. So if you've played Metroid Prime 1 through 3 at any point in history, you probably know that that sounds very much in line with what those games are. And I do think that that's something that's pretty clear. Like, whatever direction Metroid Prime 4 was originally starting to take with whatever studio Nintendo was using, they weren't happy with that direction, and it seems like they wanted more of what Retro did with 1 through 3, but just refined and taken to another level. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. I mean, I'm not expecting anything that's going to rewrite the Metroid Prime formula at its core, and that's actually exciting to me. I know some people maybe want to see a more massive shakeup, maybe something just totally different. It's not going to be that. The ESRB description does not read as any different than what you typically describe a Metroid Prime 4 game as, and I think that that's exactly what we're going to get here, is more Metroid Prime 4, which I am all completely on board for. We don't have to wait too much longer. It is out December 4th, of course. Also, we now know the file size, which this is one of the bigger first-party published games ever from Nintendo, maybe the biggest. Metroid Prime 4 Switch 2 download card reveals file size is 29 gigabytes, and it says the Japanese download card for the upcoming Metroid Prime 4 Beyond has revealed the game's file size, and it's listed at 29 gigabytes. It could end up being slightly bigger if it gets a day one patch, etc., but it should be around that size when it launches on the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 on December 4th. Now, here's the big thing. On the Switch 2, that's not like a huge game in terms of some of the other releases we're talking about, like Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade coming in at like 90 to 95 gigabytes for the base game. You stop and think about it. If you own an original Nintendo Switch base console, and I don't think that the Switch 1 version is quite that big. If I remember right, it was somewhere around the 25 to 26 gigabyte range. You still only have 32 gigs of internal storage on an original Switch without a micro SD express card. So yeah, plan on Metroid Prime 4 kind of filling up that storage if if you're still gaming on a base console and that's something that you're going to kind of be looking at picking up. Just make sure you have a backup plan in place to, either offload some of your other games for storage or, pick up some storage on sale during the Black Friday pricing if you can. Next up, in relation to the recent update, you can see this following article from Nintendo Everything, where it reads, Nier Automata finally fixed on Nintendo Switch 2 for backwards compatibility. Another Nintendo Switch 2, Switch 1 backwards compatibility fix is live for Switch 2, and this time it's Nier Automata. The game is pretty much broken on the new console since launch earlier this year. However, everything now seems to be in working order after the latest system update went live last night. Nintendo changed the eShop page to indicate that the previous issues have been resolved. Nier Automata was one of the few games with progression issues on Nintendo Switch 2. Previously, it was impossible to finish on the platform. Players would experience crashes and other progression blocks. Many Nintendo Switch 1 games have been fixed for those playing on Switch 2 over the past few months, and they have roundup of patch notes there. That's good. This is like actually a pretty cool third-party release to play through on your Switch 2. I don't think there's any kind of performance patch to really take advantage of Switch 2's additional horsepower, but like many games, as long as they run and work correctly, if you had any kind of frame dips or issues with the Switch 1, it'll probably run at a more locked 30 FPS than it did previously on the original Switch, with that extra brute force power just kind of helping things out. But this was one of those few games that just had progression locks. You couldn't actually finish it correctly. There were issues like that going on that people had discovered within the game, and now, following the most recent system upgrade, you don't have to worry about that anymore. So if this is one on your backlog that you were holding off to play via backwards compatibility on the Switch 2, you should be good to go now. To close this out here, one of Nintendo's current initiatives is creating more kiosks to advertise games. And this is something that I found interesting because we've actually been talking about it a number of different times on the channel recently, where games in the lead up to their release as of recently, such as Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment and even Metroid Prime 4, you can go play the demos before the games are out at these different various retail kiosks, Targets, Walmarts, all of your major local retailers. You can see here, many of you in the United States will be familiar with the Nintendo Switch 2 demo kiosks, which are a prime way for Nintendo to get its stellar lineup of games in front of consumers. The latest game to be added to the in-store kiosk is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. In the recent financial report, the Kyoto-based company said it's doubling down on its initiative of creating new consumer touchpoints for Nintendo games and IP to get its games seen by as many people as possible, including those who haven't played their games before. And you might remember this slide. It says emphasis on consumer touch points, dedicated Nintendo spaces created in cooperation with retailers, more ways to purchase digital products. And so they are highlighting that, and we are actually seeing this come to fruition in the Switch 2 generation. I'm all for this. I think the more opportunity you have to get some of your new unreleased products in front of more players, the better. And it kind of makes for cool, hands-on moments where you actually get to go hands-on with a game if you go into a retailer and try it out yourself before Nintendo officially releases it. So it gets a feel for things. If you're just kind of on the fence about picking up one of their big first-party releases and you don't know if you want to maybe pick it up without playing a demo first, it's not as good as them releasing a demo on the eShop where you can play it at home clearly. But this is still something that if you're really on the fence and you wanted to have a more informed decision walking into the game, will I actually enjoy this or not? You can now, take a trip to Walmart or Target, boot up the game, and actually get some hands-on impressions before you decide to make the purchase or pre-order. So I do like to see this. I do think it makes sense from a business perspective for Nintendo, and it's one of those things that we will probably see them continue to lean into as time goes on. So if you are, excited about anything upcoming in 2026, keep an eye out for these demo kiosks. You'll probably be able to play it a little bit before its official release date. But let me know in the comments down below what you make of all the different stories we talked about today. What about this new system upgrade? Did that fix any issues that you were having on your Switch 2? Are you interested in any of the Walmart Black Friday Switch 2 game pricing that we went over? Are you hyped for Metroid Prime 4 like I am? And what do you think about the file size and the ESRB description of the game? Nier Automata being fixed for Switch 2. Are there any outlying, Nintendo Switch 1 games that don't work correctly on the console that you're aware of? And have you been making it out to any retail kiosks from Nintendo as of recently? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.